Earlier on today, I did a live stream talking about Sir Jim Ratcliffe, co-owner at Manchester United alongside the Glazers, possibly putting up his stake in Nice, French League 1 side Nice, for sale and looking to sell that club to then invest more money into Manchester United, potentially buying out the Glazers and a full takeover of Manchester United. That was run by a French media source. Now The Athletic have doubled down on this and actually said officially, alongside TalkSport also, that Manchester United Jim Ratcliffe has officially put up Nice for sale and he's looking to sell the club and looking for the right offer. Investment bank Lazard has been tasked with finding a buyer. They value Nice at approximately 200 million plus, around 213 with exchange rates and everything that's going on. Just wanted to do another video to keep you up to date with everything that's happening with this, because we touched on it before and it was hard to believe coming from a French source who we don't know and what they were saying. Obviously, a Ligue 1 side, Nice being over in France, it's come from the French side of things, and now the Athletic have jumped onto this, like I said, alongside TalkSport, and this is actually quite significant now because they are running with this and this is actually genuine. So Jim Ratcliffe has had enough of Nice. I think we can gauge that from what he said in that interview, and everybody's talked about that interview about him not enjoying watching Nice. The quality of football is not good. The Nice manager then at the time having to deal with the media around that. It doesn't look like the relationship between Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Nice is a good relationship. There has been several problems already since the takeover of Manchester United and their stake in our club with Nice the opposite way. For instance, UEFA blocking a transfer through the dual ownership system that's in place for Jean-Claire Todibo. United fully looking to sign Todibo and then stopped by UEFA. There had to be an agreement in place for both teams to actually play in the Europa League this season, because Sir Jim Ratcliffe has got part ownership in both clubs. You cannot have two clubs competing in the same competition. UEFA rules again. So an agreement was put in place with Nice where it was stated that Sir Jim Ratcliffe doesn't really have any controlling stake in the club, so they could compete in this year's Europa League alongside Manchester United. Now both clubs avoided each other in that round in the league phase of the Europa League, and that was all okay. Nice finishing completely out of the playoff places and qualifying places. I think they finished second bottom and was a disaster for them. But they are actually competing in Ligue 1 at the moment, and they are amongst four teams that's separated by 6 points, chasing the Champions League. Now, yeah, again, you're looking at this. Could Nice actually sneak into the Champions League places? There is an outside chance that that could happen. And then you're looking at a very, very similar situation again with Manchester United now looking likely to be in the Europa League final and one game away from qualifying for the Champions League, and the dual-owned club of Nice being in the same competition again. And how many times are we going to have to try and figure out a system and a way to try and let both clubs compete in the same competition? Now, that's all if, buts and maybes. But again, looking ahead, I think it's been made quite clear that Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to distance himself from anything to do with Nice. They're going to have to do that again, obviously, if Nice and United both qualify for the Champions League. So if you haven't got a say in Nice and you have invested, like he has done, over 200 million into Nice, you're going to start getting a little bit fed up that what's the point? And like we said earlier on this morning, with Sir Jim Ratcliffe relinquishing his ties with other sporting ventures like the sailing team, like the All Blacks and many other sporting ventures, and trying to save what money he can because of the situation in the petrochemicals world and that industry. Obviously, again, now he's looking at another football club there, another team that he really can't have anything to do with because of his ownership of Manchester United. With so much money tied up in Nice right now, so Jim Ratcliffe, I think he's being forced to sell Nice. I actually look at this and go, where the story ran this morning was about taking over and looking to invest into Manchester United. And obviously that would be great for Manchester United fans, because it means if he does invest, it's taking more power away from the Glazers and having a bigger stake in the football club. I don't know if that will materialise at all, and there is nothing concrete on that at all. The only 100% definite is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe looks like he's going to have to relinquish power at Nice. And if he cannot do anything with that much investment in, then he maybe has to just cash in on the situation. And I think this is where this has developed now, and why Sir Jim is now officially putting his stake and 213 million approximately, with exchange rates like we said, up for sale. Where he will invest that money, we don't know. The other side to this, and the interesting thing in this, is if Sir Jim Ratcliffe is looking to invest into Manchester United even more. There's no way he can do it because of PSR, financial fair play. Now, the PSR rules change after next season to the squad ratio rule, which is why they are cutting corners right now and trimming down the wage bill. That will give Manchester United the benefit of investing more money because of their revenue streams. And if we're in the Champions League next season, and Manchester United have got a lower wage bill, which it is going to be, and the squad ratio rule kicks in, and on top of that, the ownership and sponsorship situation that City are doing with the Premier League right now, which is going to change all of the rules altogether, which is if there is a company that is in part ownership with the club and their company, and they want to sponsor, say, for instance, Manchester United, this being Ineos, then they can name their price for the sponsorship and invest as much money as they want into sponsoring United. For instance, they want to rename Carrington the Ineos training facility and pay Manchester United not the market value, which it is now in current rules, but whatever they want. And that's how Manchester City are getting around the loopholes of financial fair play. And that's why this is so big in terms of what's happening with City and the Premier League in court. So if Sir Jim Ratcliffe has got any spare cash and he wants to somehow sponsor and invest into Manchester United and tell the Glazers, I'm doing this for more stake in this, but we will sponsor Manchester United and fund this amount of money, then these possibilities all start to turn around. So that is all way down the line, but the fact that Sir Jim is taking money out of other ventures, I don't necessarily know if it's 100% certain he's going to invest it into Manchester United. He looks like he's all in on it. We have to somehow fund a brand new stadium. That commitment has come in as well. And so, like we said this morning, obviously Sir Jim Ratcliffe is getting on a bit right now. So where is he going to invest? The biggest thing that he has got going on right now is Manchester United. So if anything is sold from Nice, it does look a little bit positive, and I'm not saying this is 100%, and there's nothing dead cert on it. The only thing that is certain is that Sir Jim is releasing some funds, and that's if he sells Nice. Because obviously the problems over there in France are not just in the quality of football, like Sir Jim Ratcliffe said. The Zone, who actually are in a 4-year contract for the television rights and broadcasting rights for League 1, have just pulled out of their televised deal after 1 year of that 4-year contract. So now French clubs are probably not as valuable because there's no broadcast money coming in. And in fact, the financial regulator over in France has said not to involve or input any broadcasting revenues at all into their end-of-year figures now. You can't do it because there's no deal. So does that take value away from French clubs as well? If Nice get into the Champions League, however, that could add value to the football club and then be a better prospect for someone to come in. The report from France was that the Saudis are very interested in taking over Nice. It's in a lucrative area, the Riviera. It's like a hotspot, isn't it? The Ayatollah sort of thing. And that, I think, may be appealing to the likes of the Saudi ownerships and Saudi state funds, which is reportedly from the French side of things where this is actually looking. But, like we said there, we're looking at investment company, investment bankers, Lazard. They're the ones that have been tasked with finding the right bidder and the right price for Nice. It's official, they are up for sale. Where he invests that money, if Nice are sold, we will have to wait and see. But if he's only got one sporting interest, or it's all looking like it is down to Manchester United, then is it a positive? I think it is. That he's looking at just concentrating on Manchester United rather than everything else that's going on. Maybe he is just going for a full push and wants to leave a legacy there. Look, there's all if, buts and maybes around this deal, and obviously we don't know where he's going to invest his own money. But that is the news that is coming out. It is genuine, and I think for UEFA rules and regulations, for money reasons, for industry reasons, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is selling up and taking himself out of the limelight at Nice after spending all of that money to win nothing. It looks like he's had enough, and he's already said himself, hasn't he? He doesn't like the football, so what's the point? That's it. Take the money, go and invest it in Man United. That's what I think. Let me know if you love the video. Pop a like on it as well, everybody, and obviously get your comments in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's up on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video, everybody.